I've got to start by telling you a little bit more about this past week. The Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas is so heart-centered, so amazingly effective, because it's so authentic and true and filled with passion, and with these two beautiful women who are the co-pastors. And they have created such a facility, a physical facility there, that's the outpicturing of this inner consciousness that they all have, that it has become the mental equivalent that every Science of Mind minister who sees it has decided that's what we were going to have one day. And it's wonderful. The Zoll family there, John's brother Tim, is a part of this spiritual community. And he donated the funds to build Zoll Hall, which is actually the meditation chapel, which is about the size of this sanctuary. Gives you a little sense of the wonderful facility that they've created. And it was just such a delight to be there and to soak up this consciousness and bring it back. I have quotes from two Science of Mind stars today, Ernest Holmes and Dennis Merritt Jones. And Ernest says, as we express life, we fulfill God's law of abundance, but we do this only as we realize that there is good enough to go around. Only as we know that all of God's gifts are given freely and fully as the air and the sunshine, alike to all. This is a new month. Welcome to October. Welcome to the fall. A few of you know what I'm speaking of. I decided to take a little trip when I came in this morning. I'll tell you all about it. It was a wonderful adventure. Well, after all, it's autumn. You have to fall. And so we have a new theme. We follow the theme for Centers of Spiritual Living. And this month's theme for October is prosperity, abundance, and wealth. How do you like it so far? Good. And today's talk is about abundance is not a thing, but a universal presence, a universal principle. It's not about stuff. We love our stuff, right? But that's not abundance. Abundance is a universal presence, a universal principle. This is a generous presence that gives of itself to all alike, gives of itself continuously, gives of itself to us. If we're not receiving all the good that we'd love to have in our lives, we get to look to ourselves, which we'll address soon. So, the other Science of Mind star I'll quote from is Dennis Merritt Jones. He says, abundance as a universal principle is unlimited potential. It is the unseen essence of more than enough of everything. Let's expand our thinking about abundance for a moment to realize it is more than enough of everything. Not just so much. Oh, not just, I'll just take a little bit. I can remember when I was a child, probably selling Girl Scout cookies or something door to door with another little girl, and coming to a house where the woman was so kind. She invited us in and offered us cake she had just baked. I'd never experienced such a thing in my life. I was probably a brownie then, because I think I was 7 or 8 years old. And so we came in, and she offered each of us a piece of cake. And she said, would you like cake, Maxine? And I said, well, I don't know. I used to be shy. I know. And I learned something really powerful right then and there. Well, if you're not sure, then maybe you don't want any. Oh, yes, please. Oh, yes, please. We all have these long-term patterns that we just need to get over, right? Because there is enough, there's more than enough. You deserve every bit of good that your heart can hold. Abundance manifests into our lives as prosperity. And those of you who are in the 5-week The Art of Abundance, how many of you are present here today? It's pretty awesome, huh? And even if you're not in the class, there are many who are simply reading this book, The Art of Abundance. And Dr. Jones makes it very clear. There is a distinction between abundance and prosperity. Abundance is a universal principle, a universal presence continually giving of itself, whereas prosperity is how it shows up in your life and mine. And how it shows up in your life and mine depends upon what we decide we're open to and what we're creating our intention about. It's all up to us. How are we going to allow this beautiful, universal, everywhere present principle of abundance to show up in our lives? Prosperity is a successful flowing, a thriving condition. And so it speaks of much more than simply goods. Prosperity is how we choose for abundance to show up in our lives. And it comes from this unformed substance of infinite possibility. Unformed substance of infinite possibility. You see, everything is energy, right? Everything is energy. And we bring that energy down into our very real human, material, physical experience. And that's what we get to do. We're created to do that. If we're not using this law of sowing and reaping, cause and effect, co-creating our worlds in the way we choose, we're kind of bobbing along with the group, and sometimes that's not real comfortable. Here we have the opportunity to look to ask ourselves, what is prosperity to me? How would I like to bring this universal presence and principle and power of abundance into my life? What is prosperity to me? Let's think along together so that you can make some even clearer decisions about what you'd like to have show up in your life. How about overflowing health and wholeness? Would you like it? Would you like more of it, no matter how much you have already? A vital body that serves you beautifully. It can bounce off the floor, come back and be strong and healthy and happy. That's what I have. It moves you about the world effectively and fills you with joy and pleasure. You like that? I do too. I love it. How about your prosperity showing up as plentiful, loving relationships? Yes, please. Huh? Conscious, caring, mutually respectful connections with friends, with family, with partners. You like that? How about creativity? Do you have some conscious intentions about that? How about prosperity showing up as joy on the job? So that you're totally loving what you're doing and expressing your highest and your best self in that. Did I hear a snicker over there? Well, we can either get another job or bring a different consciousness to it, huh? And in fact, when people come to me for counseling about this, they'll say, I'm just not happy in my job. Well, let's do this. First of all, bloom where you are planted. Bring the highest and the best and the greatest joy and the infinite possibility of what can I do to serve today? What can I bring? What can I co-create with my co-workers to make it even more wonderful and to be more productive and to lift the consciousness and make a difference in the world and then with all the people that they affect? I am bringing right now to my work experience that which I desire to see in my life and in the world, and something happens in the whole room. Or not. And if it's or not, then it might be time to say, arrivederci, baby. But do it with love. We're not going to jump out of one uncomfortable situation into another, whether it's the work or relationship or anything else, until we've shifted our consciousness, because that's where we have the power. What's that wonderful serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we bring the highest and the best of ourselves and just about every case, I can almost guarantee it, there will be a shift in the consciousness around you. It might not be the entire shift that you'd like to see in order to stay there, but the fact that you've been in that place, even though the time may come for you to find another, is going to have up-leveled the consciousness of that room. And in this creativity, would you like to have more fun in creating beauty? So many talented, beautiful people in this community here. You do so many things so well. Many of you do many things very well, because you allow the creative spirit within you to flow through you, and you bring the abundance into prosperity in your life by creating beauty in form, in music, in movement, in writing, so many fabulous ways. That's bringing abundance into the prosperity of your life through creativity, because aren't we all beautiful co-creators with this universe? How would you like to bring more abundance into your life through the prosperity of, let's say, wealth, lovely surroundings? We all deserve to live in lovely surroundings. Plenty of comfort and even luxury for you and your family. Let's not play small. If you'd like to have beautiful happenings and surroundings in your life, claim them. Because when you do, you are not taking anything from anyone else. Indeed, you're becoming a role model for how we can utilize this beautiful creative principle, this science of mind, to change the conditions by, first of all, changing our consciousness about it. I choose to open hearts and minds to what is possible to flow through us and create beauty and comfort. Luxury, if you desire, in your world without taking another thing from another person, because people can look at you and say, wow, look what she did. I can do that too. Because the one universal, intelligent, creative power belongs to everyone. What about having all of your needs and all of you met and all of your desires fulfilled? And what about bringing abundance into the prosperity of your life by the easy circulation of good? Become that beautiful recirculating fountain of good, whatever that means to you. And then we get to do our inner work, don't we? Because we find out that there's this beautiful stream of good, affluence. Don't you love that word? Affluence. It is flowing. There's a beautiful stream of good that is offering itself to all of us all the time in whatever form that's meaningful to us. This beautiful stream is flowing. And we can use a very homey example of having a hose, a garden hose, and you're watering the lawn or you're washing the car, and you're stretching the hose out, and somehow, as you go around the corner, it gets turned around and there's a kink in it. Beloveds, we get kinks in our hoses. And then we realize that we are somehow shutting off the flow of that stream of good. There's still plenty of water coming through, wanting to come through, but we've somehow, temporarily cut it off. So what's our inner work about? It's opening ourselves, opening our consciousness to the continuous flow of good. So we want to identify and transform subjective patterns of a false belief in being separate from our source. That's the main one. A false belief in being separate from our source. When we're aware that we are never alone, that we've been brought into being as an individualized expression of this life, which is divine, and we feel ourselves being loved and comforted by that internal presence of love and wisdom. When we feel ourselves being in the flow of all the good we could possibly ever imagine, then we begin to heal the false belief in separation. The exercise that Reverend Mike led us through earlier is about healing a false belief and separation from one another. And it must begin with healing the false belief in separation from God, Spirit, or Source, whatever words are meaningful to you. We want to identify and transform any subjective belief in limitation or lack. It's not true. It may be our experience from time to time, but it never was true. And here's a big one, I think. We need to heal the false belief that we don't deserve. I'm not asking for any hands to be raised on this one, but we've all had that experience perhaps from time to time. The false belief that we're separate from our source, that there's not enough, that we don't deserve it, and they're just human nonsense, or what we sometimes refer to here as nincompoopery. We need to heal that. It never was so. But it's our experience. We can't deny that it's our experience. And we need to look to see what's rising up to be healed, right? As it rises up to be healed, we can't turn away from it and pretend it isn't there. The conditions that we experience in our own personal lives and in the greater world, we can't pretend they're not there, they're there. But they didn't come to stay. And it came to pass, and it came to pass, and it came to pass. We can start breathing that fresh breath of divine air again when we remember that it came to pass. So we're spiraling on up in our awareness. And sometimes say, oh, didn't I already visit this challenge that I thought I had healed a long time ago? That there's not enough for everybody? I thought I'd healed that. It is not just going around in circles. What we're doing is we're coming and looking at it from a different viewpoint. And we're in a higher state of awareness now. We recognize things more easily. We say, okay, thank you for showing me what I need to heal. And when we spiral up in our awareness in this way, then we come to the realization that we truly desire the greatest good for every sentient being in our life. It may not be exactly the same good that we are ready to co-create, but we want the great good, the truth, the love, the wisdom, the prosperity, the health, the wholeness, the love, the relationships, in their own particular way to be very evident in everyone else's lives. We want to use our spiritual tools. What are our spiritual tools? Mindfulness. You must be aware. You can't do this sleeping. We need to awaken and stay awake. We need a clear awareness. We need love and compassion. Spiritual discernment. It's been said that judgment, which we are constantly working to move away from, that judgment spiritualized becomes discernment. This is right for me. It has nothing to do with criticizing in our own minds another person. This is right for me, or this is not right for me. This is for the greatest good of everyone in my life, or it may not be. That's discernment. And that's a very important spiritual tool that we use. And what's the most amazing, essential, vital, effective, dynamic tool that we have? Affirmative prayer. Spiritual mind treatment. We teach it, we practice it, we live it. We take everything to prayer. We want to lift all sentient beings. That's why we say not only that we are ready to co-create and are creating a world that works for everyone, but we're creating a world that works for all life. We want to lift all sentient beings to their abundant supply. You ready to have a little more abundance, a lot more abundance in your life? Are you ready to experience it flowing through you as prosperity, however you determine that to be? Yes, please? Would you like to have everything so bountiful and so beautiful that your heart stays open and your mind is clear and you desire that same good for every sentient being that you have for yourself? Yes, please. Reverend Mike and I attended a beautiful wedding not very long ago. It was sumptuous. It was luxurious. It was so filled with love and beauty and authenticity. And I'm so grateful that that bride is back from her honeymoon. And she was the most beautiful bride I've ever seen in my life, Michelle. Every detail was birthed from the love of Michelle and Ross and the devotion they have to each other. It was abundance made manifest, the most beautiful, prosperous expression of love and family and unity and coming together and playing together and delighting in one another with every detail. Absolutely beautiful. That's the kind of life that we are all intended to have and capable of having, however that translates to you. And I trust that in going through this little process today that you've gotten clear about how do you want abundance to show up more in your life. What does your personal prosperity look like? And let's work together to do the healing that needs to be done within us all, to get the kink out of our hoses and let this divine abundance flow through us in so many beautiful ways. Once we're consciously connected with this presence, which surrounds us and indwells us, we have access to the richness of the universe. And once the false belief in separation from Source is healed, everyone will thrive. We rejoice that this good is available to all. I came across something that is from a new Design for Living, Ernst Holmes. I'm supposed to tell Diane Cedar about the books I'm going to talk about beforehand so that she'd have them available. I'm working on it. This is a chapter called Divine Bounty. And he quotes, "Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage." Ernest says, this is a direct statement that through a right use of the law we may become free. But through a wrong use of it, we may again be entangled in bondage. No plainer statement of the law of cause and effect could be given than this. We may wire the building, turn on the electricity, and have light. But if the wire is short-circuited, something will go wrong, and we will again be entangled in darkness. The darkness was never a thing of itself. It was merely a confused state. The source of our supply was not really cut off. It stopped at our place of confusion and no longer functioned for us. This is a perfect statement of the mental law of cause and effect, and it again warns us that we must be aware of the use we're making of the law. We must keep our thoughts straight. It's not always easy to do this, but the law of cause and effect, being no respecter of persons and always working automatically and mechanically and with mathematical precision, must flow through each one of us in terms of our own acceptance. When we become confused and short-circuit this acceptance, we're cutting ourselves off from its supply. But we do not destroy the supply, it's still there. It's a wonderful thought to realize that the eternal bounty can be short-circuited only as far as we're concerned, cannot be either exhausted or depleted. We shall never be disappointed, for the law is always operating. It is certain that none of us received as much benefit from this science as we might. We're just beginning, you see. We do not permit our consciousness to range in the field of greater possibilities enough. A certain time should be taken each day for the enlargement of consciousness. This is done by reminding our imagination that the field with which it deals is limitless. That mind is the creator and the sustainer. That mind is infinite, ever available, and always responsive to us. There should never be any sense of finality in our self-discovery, no matter how much good we experience today. We should expect more tomorrow. Expectancy always speeds progress. Anticipation of better yet to come helps us dissolve the overload of burdens which we now carry with us. We must learn to loose our consciousness. Nothing is too good to be true. The kingdom of harmony is already an ever-present reality, but as far as we're concerned, it waits to be perceived, and only as much good can come to us as we mentally receive. We must increase our receptivity, continuously extend and expand our comprehension. We should declare 100 times a day, good and more good is mine. Say that with me. Good and more good is mine, and ever-increasing good is mine. There is no limit to the good which is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good. I feel it. I experience it. It crowds itself against me, flows through me, expresses itself in me, and multiplies itself around me. So we rejoice that this good is indeed available to all women, all men, all sentient beings, and we are conduits of the flow of this energy of abundance. Let's keep our channels clear. Should we keep our channels clear and let this abundance flow in every beautiful form of prosperity you can imagine? I am one with the universal principle of abundance. Abundance expressing through me as prosperity. I celebrate this action within all people and within all sentient beings. And so, my beloveds, beginneth our lesson.